I went to Manchester on a very YOLO tip. So basically, I lost my job, and it was like the weekend prior to the Gymshark lift event that was in Manchester. I can't really afford it. Lost my job in it. So I was like, I told Ross, and he was like, yeah, just come up. You was going to come up anyway. And I was like, yeah, but can't really afford it. He's like, yeah, I got you. So obviously, he paid for my train ticket to go up there. Obviously, very thankful for Ross. He was like, you can stay till like Tuesday. So Saturday, Sunday, we kind of just like, I was just working at the gym. Like I was working at the Gymshark lift, you know, I was doing everything, like going around, taking a picture with fans, just trying to like build my rapport with Gymshark, trying to be like, this is why you should sign me, guys. Come on, like, come on. They're taking pictures with me. I'm signing belts.
I'm famous. I'm famous.
Like, come on. You can see that they like me here. Like, the fans fuck with me. Tip for anyone that's listening that wants a Gymshark contract is they like it when athletes.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. This podcast is sponsored by Insight Subs. So for all your supplement needs, head to insightsubs.com. They have a massive variety of supplements, so many different brands, giving you an insight into some of the best supplements from around the world, not just in the UK. So if we go to categories now, we can look at whey blends. I'm going to take you to one of my favorite whey proteins, which has Perform Whey. There's so many flavors, a few of them out of stock, but always keep your eye open because they will come back in stock. If you follow Insight Subs on Instagram, you'll be able to also keep updated on when the new stocks come in. So all you have to do, give it a quick click, add it to cart, then check out. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit of a discount here real quick by putting in Physique 10. And by doing that, you can get yourself a little bit of a discount. You can sponsor the podcast, sponsor me as an athlete, and I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Let's give that a quick way. Wow, them quads coming through.
Bro, I ain't been training for
a little quad slip just to clean it.
Everyone's like, why is everything bigger? I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, man. So, yo, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
By the way, guys, this is the introduction. Man's here just busting out his quads for the first part of the podcast.
That's what we call a welcome.
Yeah, that's the big welcome. Just whipping out the quads right from the start. We can see the delts are massive. What I want to do first is bring up your Instagram profile, like I said, so people know who you are. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen. Just got it up. Instagram profile. See that? Just got participants here, right? Can you see that? Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, man. So this is you. This is him. What's one of your best pictures up on here? This looks sick. Is this from your show?
That's from Ireland, yeah.
That was your last show, right? Yeah.
Last show.
What happened there? That was your first pro prep.
Yeah, so this is so essentially I pro debuted at the Arnold Classic when I won my pro card, but that was like 2 days later. So we literally had like 1 day to carb up and kind of like try to make up for some of the size, like the lack of size that I already had from being an amateur and then going into that pro cap. So we literally just smashed in like 1,000 grams of carbs. So this is the first time we actually prepped with the intention of going onto a pro show, like a pro stage. So yeah.
Because your pro debut was the Arnold where you actually turned pro 2022.
Yeah, so about 9 months ago, and then this was a pro debut.
Yeah, I remember I saw you at the Arnold. So I saw you at the Arnold's back when you was an amateur, and you was bouncing around like you was lost in the lobby. And
shit! I was looking for the cannon for ages, bro.
You was what I was gonna be like, yo, it's up there, bro. But you were walking too quick. I couldn't even be like, yo, you were shooting, yeah. And I was about to just go because I could see that you was lost. And I was about to go, yeah, up there. That's where, because I could hear you like, where's Tanning? Where's Tanning? Where's Tanning?
Bro, the Tanning was a joke, bro. When they had it, because the thing is, normally when they have it in the Arnolds, they have it on the backstage.
Yeah.
But they had it different. Like they had it.
Did you also do Arnold's the year before then?
Yeah, I did the Arnold's 2021, and I got third in my class. And that was when I vow one. And then obviously this one, I was like, yo, I'm coming back for redemption. I'm getting my damn win. Yeah. And we got the damn win. So
100%, man, 100%. But they had it on a different stage, didn't they? So things were it was so different the last time.
I kind of liked it that way, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. How come? Did you feel like less pressure?
I felt like, well, one, I actually think the amateur stage looked better. like controversial opinion. I think everyone thought that obviously like the main stage looked more grandioso, but I think the lighting, like that blue purple light looks so cool. And then on top of that, because I won it, so obviously it's coming from a bit of a biased perspective, but because I won it, it kind of felt like I got to earn to be on the big stage.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
I kind of preferred that, whereas last year we all got to step on the same stage. I don't think that, in the nicest possible way, we don't deserve to step on the same stage as pros until we earn it. Like,
yeah, I guess that's a sick view of it. I was a bit depressed because I did want to step on that stage, but
yeah, no, a lot of people
I did men's physique that year.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people complaining to me even prior to me winning the card. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's bullshit. We don't get to stay on the same stage." And I was kind of like, the entire time, I was like kind of happier with it. Like, plus, like, I think that the amateur last year, did you do the amateur 2021?
At the Arnolds, no, I didn't do the Arnolds that year.
So, like, I think that the crowd was deader.
For real?
Yeah, because where it was in the pro bit, like where it was in the main stage bit, I think the only people that were going there. Yeah, exactly. The only people that were going there were people that were like drifting about or people that wanted to see their friends. Whereas I think that when they had it on the second stage, it was like, oh, the bodybuilders over there. So everyone was going to watch bodybuilding.
People that actually wanted to watch it made the trek.
Did you see? I couldn't see the crowd when I was doing my classic physique, but I saw some clips and it was ram. But when I saw the men's physique, it was ram. It was super, like it was like literally packed full to the back.
Yeah. What year was that? You talking about the one where you turned pro?
Yeah, the one that I turned pro, it was completely full all the way to the back.
Yeah, I was on that men's physique stage. Can't even remember. I just remembered we
yeah, you don't remember what the crowd is like.
Yeah, we finished super late. I think the show and the whole festival, the whole Arnold festival boxed off by the time we were leaving. It was like 9-10 o'clock, I swear.
Yeah, that's the only thing
I don't like about men's physique now that I've transferred onto classic. Like the late timing.
Yeah.
How did you find making weight? You're pretty much in the weight cap, aren't you?
I'm like I'm so far away from the weight cap, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I've got like 6 kilos to put on.
Yeah. There's still so much room to grow here. What have we got any like when you turn pro? Was that picture I had up when you turned pro?
Yeah, that was from the pro show. If you keep on going down, because this is when I was posting for the prep, so I was like posting like daily, twice a day sometimes.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was building up so much hype and momentum for this show, man. It was crazy.
You got to do that though, I think, for your own mentality as well. You got to build yourself up and build yourself.
I think that no one's gonna do it for you. You know, the only way you're gonna get eyes on you and names on you, and the people are gonna care about who you are, is if you build it. You know, like this is bodybuilding, and I think a lot of people, they like to get into like this thing where they're gonna go into the back and they're gonna do a Dorian thing. But the reality is, no one cares about you. You're not Dorian.
No one cares about you. I just said it straight. No one cares.
You got to make them care about you.
Oh, is that a real?
Yeah, I think this is like a edit. Yeah, this one's. Right. I think this was.
This is the amateur. This is the amateur.
This is from keep on going down, man. I kept on doing like.
I just want to see you one straight one when you turn amateur. What do you think your main improvements were from that first pro show to that second pro show though?
I think that I put on just a good amount of like dense tissue, because technically I weighed pretty much the same for both shows, but obviously one was just from like a massive carb up and the other one was from actual tissue. So I think that keep on going. I think that's another repurposed one. So I think that I actually put on a good amount of lean tissue in comparison, just everywhere, especially my quads, my arms. I think I was a lot more balanced as well. Like I think that, for example, my back is really big. So like, I think that I was able to just make my posterior chain, especially from the lower half, just like compared to it. So like, for example, you can see here, like my hamstrings aren't that great. This is from the pro show as well. My hamstrings aren't that great and my glutes are kind of small. So I brought up my glutes, I brought my hamstrings, I brought my adductors from the back. And that really made a difference in the density. So when I turned to the rear, it was just as good as from the front, because my front lat spread is probably my front relax, probably one of my best poses. Yeah. So I was able to make the rear relax just as good.
What did you do in terms of training to do that? Did you switch up training styles, just adding more volume, less volume? What was the training approach to that?
Yeah, so prior to this, I was doing a very much high volume training style with my old coach. When I moved to pro coach, it was much more like, it was a mix between top set, back of set, and then volume training. So for example, on my adductors, I weren't doing like, I'll do like 3 top set, like I'll do 3 sets to failure. Whereas when I go into like legs, for example, on my hack squat, I'll go up to a top set and then do a back off set. Obviously on quads, I don't need to do as much work as I need to do on my hamstrings because my quads kind of just grow without me putting in too much effort.
Yeah.
They're like quite responsive.
So this is that back shot from the Arnold.
So you can even see, like, look at the adductors.
This gap out. You fill this gap out.
Fill that gap right out.
I think that's what it's about. It's about filling gaps, isn't it?
Filling gaps, yeah, exactly. So I remember you saying something about the way Joe Richardson was hitting his ab and thigh. And I think you're right. Obviously, when he does close up that gap, he's going to have to push out his lats a bit more to make his lats flare. But it's literally about just like filling out gaps. It's like my issue with the side chest, I have too many gaps in it.
Yeah. It's just filling out. And look, how tall are you?
5'10" and 3/4 technically, but I just say 5'11" because I stand next to someone I stand next to Nas. He's 6 foot, he's 6'1" or 6 foot, and we look the same height. So I don't really get it, but it's what it is.
Have you got different? Oh, so this is you through the years actually. Let's have a look.
Yeah, this is my first show. Then that was my first show in the NPC, and then it goes into the Arnold's, I believe. Okay, yeah. So this is I actually competed against Joe Richardson there. Then that was the British finals, and then that was when I won my pro card. So, and then that was obviously.
So what, it took you 4 or 5 shows to turn pro?
It took me 3 shows in the NPC. I did open shows, but I did 2 shows in UK BFF prior to coming to the NPC, and then I did a novice class at the British because they didn't let me compete.
Okay.
Open. So that British finals, I was going to do the open class.
Yeah.
But I wasn't qualified. But they changed the rules last year, so that it had to be within the calendar year. Prior to that, it was 12 months.
For that. All right. Cool.
Yeah, so I didn't know until I got to a day prior. So then I just ended up getting put into a novice class, got second. Mind you, this is me going for my pro card, so it felt like a massive kick in the teeth.
Yeah. When you've got it in your head that's what.
Yeah, when you got in your head that you're gonna go pro this year, and then you get second at novice, that shit hurts. Well, that shit hurts, bro. And then obviously I did the race strip rumble. So in the NPC, I did the Graftism show, which I did the overall against Joe. Then and we both lost that overall to Kaya. Then I did the Arnold Classic a month later, which I got third in. Then I did the British finals because that was like 8 months or 9 months later. Then I did the race trick rumble. I got third in my class, and that was 2 weeks before there was 13 days before the Arnold Classic. Then I went with pro coach, then had to go on a bikini girl diet for 10 days. It was more like 5-6 days. And then we carved up, and then we won the Arnold. So we went from third in the class to winning the whole pro card. So, if that tells you anything about how much difference you can make in such a little amount of time, obviously it depends on what your issues are. When I went to ask for feedback, because this is why you always ask for feedback, right? When I asked for feedback, they told me that my glutes weren't hard enough and my lower back didn't have enough lines in it. So I just so obviously it was a conditioning thing. When a conditioning thing is your issue, you can get tighter.
Yeah. If
you're too small, or you get told your structure's shit, you can't fix that. So you have to always obviously I always I am one of those guys that goes in with an abundance of confidence, but I come with an abundance of confidence with realistic standards. Does that make sense? So when I went into that prep, it was with the intention that I was going to go pro. But with that being said, I understood that I wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
So I think you have to kind of go with that kind of mindset of Like, don't go into any show hoping to lose. Like, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. But with that being said, if you do lose, take into consideration why you did lose and make the changes necessary. You know, like anyone can really beat anyone depending on the day, depending on judges. But with that being said, there is a way to ultimately be undeniable. Like, for example, Chris Bumstead is never going to lose because it wasn't his day or the judges wasn't looking for that today. So whenever people say this wasn't my day or the judges weren't looking for that today, it's cap. It's fucking cap. If you are undeniable, you're not going to lose. Like, if you're the winner, you're the winner. That's as simple as it. Yeah. Like, the reality of bodybuilding is it is subjective to some extent, but with that being said, it's within like rubrics, right? Like, it's subjective to a point. Like, it's subjective, but then at the end of the day, you can be undeniable. You can be undeniably better than the guy next to you and the guy next to you on the other side.
Yeah, 100% in the classic class. I think you can. I feel
like there's no class in this.
I think in men's physique, they don't know what they're looking like.
I think they have a clue.
That's where I left. I was like,
they have a clue, but I think it's harder for them to like outright say it because, like, you know, some dudes you see them and you're like, that is men's physique. Like, you see Isaac Francis. When I see him, I go, that's men's physique to a T. It's very much hard for me to like see a show with Isaac being in it and go, someone's gonna beat.
Yeah,
especially when he was an amateur. I just assumed he was going to win, which he did.
Yeah,
you know. So like, there is a way to be undeniable, and like Isaac showed that. You know, he was undeniable for that entire season. I don't think he lost a single show. I think he won every overall.
Yeah,
in every single federation.
So what's your thoughts on the weight cap with men's physique? Do you think it's gonna affect classic? Because now we'll probably have more guys pushing into classic, but then they might look at bringing your weight cap up, and essentially you'll be coming against bigger guys when you know you need to fill out in certain areas. So like, I guess it could worry you if they push up the weight cap, because then we might have bigger guys coming into classic.
So if they bring up the weight cap, I'll be very much happy, because I've not been into this sport for long enough for me to worry about the weight cap being a problem. Like, the reality of it is that I've probably been under expiration, exposure of drugs for less time than 99% of people. I started bodybuilding. My first show was in 2019.
Yeah.
That was after a year and a half of training, and I was beating guys on gear 90.
Yeah.
So I just know that I'm gonna put on the size that I need to. It's just that I haven't had that time yet.
Yeah. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 29, but I started training at 25.
Okay. So were you in the gym before, or you just started taking it serious at 25? Because I wasn't in the gym training at 17, but I didn't really take it serious until I was 20.
When I was 20, you couldn't pay me to get into the gym, bro.
For real?
Yeah, it was I hate the gym, bro.
It, man. If you just got, I think one thing with you see some bodybuilders and you're like, okay, yeah, they've put in the graft, they've lifted loads of work, lifted loads of weight and probably taken all the gear with it as well. But you look at someone I look at someone like you, and it's not saying that you don't work hard or whatever, but you look at someone like you and just think that structure is just not given to everyone.
Yeah, no, you can't train for structure. You can train for muscle, you can train for size, but you can't train for the structure, unfortunately. And that's the reason why I've done well up until now. So even if with what you said about bigger guys, with what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to be the bigger guy in the future. But even if someone is bigger than me, I can beat them with structure, because it's rare that someone's bigger than me with a better structure. I'd say that the only people that are bigger than me that match my structure are top 5, top 10 Olympians. Not even top 10s, really. I've stood next to top 10 Olympians I stood next to 2 top 10 Olympians at the Arnold Classic. Structurally, I was better than both of them.
Yeah.
And even one of them turned around to me and said to me, I have the most potential here.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that it's structurally it's not my issue. I know that I have probably top, in classic top 5 structure.
Yeah. I think top 3. It's got to be really kind of relaxing, I guess, for you to think that way, because there's a lot of pressure on shoulders of, say, guys like me. I know I don't have the best structure, and I'm like, will I ever make it to where I want to make it to? But for you, it's yeah, you will make it there, because it's undeniable that you've got the structure. You've just got to build the muscle. Whereas me, I've got to nail this.
Yeah.
And I think your path is very, very clear compared
Yeah,
to
I think
guys.
that
It's
it's
got to be a little bit. You don't have the anxiety that I have sometimes when I'm.
yeah, I agree.
It's
It's
about
not
my
very
future
much.
because you are gonna get there, and I'm like, maybe shit, I won't.
I think the truth is like when you have structure flaws, you can make up for those with muscle, especially if you put the muscle in the right places, right? So, like for example, if you got a bigger waist, then you just get sweepy thighs, you get fucking wide, broad shoulders, but it takes a lot of muscle to do so. So what is going to happen is like for someone like you, rather than like I think you'll have an easier time when it is like let's just say hypothetically you get your pro card. Once you get that pro card, I think that it will be easy. You'll have an easier time within classic because of that 5 kilo difference than you do now. Because with that tissue, you could just say, okay, where do I need to put tissue on, and where do I not need to? So maybe, for example, like for you, what I would say, for example, is maybe put more sweep on the quads, get the adductors nice and thick, glutes thick, hamstrings, shoulders nice and wide. And then like I think a lot of and then also just put the rest of that tissue in your arms. And I think the rest of it will be very much like you will like I've definitely seen
It
guys
comes to sucking down as well, though. It comes to sucking down, like
yeah.
you trying to reach that class. I came in too early.
Yeah.
I came in too early because it's like, I mean, questionable. Did I come in too early? We don't know because it was my first classic season. But like, you have to force yourself to come down and put yourself deep in a graph phase, which could then lose muscle and all that kind of stuff. Which
so
you
I
don't
think
have to worry about that.
was,
You're very, very comfortable in that cap.
Yeah, I think your problem was I think you was further away from the weight cap than you thought initially. So when you was in your off season, I think you thought you was closer to the weight cap than you was, and then because of that, you probably pulled a bit too hard on the beginning phase. I think that latter end is where you start to lose tissue. The beginning phase, you can kind of push as hard as you want. You're going to keep most of it.
I was eating 800 grams of carbs every other day and still dropping weight at one point.
Like that, yeah, exactly. That's just inevitable. But
when it's your first prep, you got to learn this stuff. That's bodybuilding. We learn every single prep. I'm sure. What did you do anything different in your first proper pro prep compared to your first amateur prep?
My first prep, or like all of my preps prior to doing the prep with Ross, have been completely different from the prep I did with Ross, purely because like of the way we structured it. I've never eaten so much food in my life, like on a prep. I struggled. Don't get me wrong. I had my days where I was fucked, and like they got to a point where he took my calories off of it, like so we just didn't see it. But that was only like I come in quick. So what happened was that we only had to run that for a little bit of time. Like even when we started to see the weight dropping and stuff like that, and Ross was like, I don't think you need to get past 40 minutes of cardio. And then like we was kind of close, like maybe 6 weeks out where it was at striking distance. I just kind of said like, it's just like, finish the job and come in early. So that we just spent that last like we spent the next 3 weeks like in a massive hole with refeeds, obviously, but mostly in the hole. And then it slowly started to come up. By the time we looked at the food again, whilst it was slowly coming up, when he put the calories back in, I was already eating like 28,000, like 2,800. He was like, oh, like I thought you was a lot lower than that. And I was like, so did I. Then my refeed food and my regular food was only like, at one point it got to like a 30, like a 250 gram difference of carbs. So then we ended up like just saying like scrap the regular day food and just eat your refeed day food as your regular. So like I know like the latter end of prep, I was basically eating like 3,700 calories, but obviously 3,700 calories, but fucking starving the whole time because you're still in prep, still in a hole and stuff like that. But it just sounds nice. I've never been able to like. I think the most food I've ever gone into a peak week with was probably like 2,200 calories prior to that.
Yeah.
And that was like, even then, that was like the most food I've ever had prior to that. And then it was off of being in like an 1,800 calorie deficit. So
what was the reason for your food being able to be so high? Is it different PD protocols or was it just your body was just firing through everything? Really?
Body was firing through. I think that we just
like training, like things like training, because I noticed you was in Manchester, weren't you? Did you do your prep in Manchester?
Yeah, so I ended my prep in Manchester from the last 6 weeks. That push helped a lot. We was fucking going hard in Manchester. Like, obviously, I'll just wake up, like my Airbnb. So,
yo, I hope you're enjoying the episode. Remember, go ahead and press that subscribe button. Don't leave me hanging, guys. Your support means so much. We want to grow this and take it to another level. So we can only do that if you guys engage and keep pushing this forward. So press that subscribe button. I really appreciate the support. Love you all. Drop a comment.
I went to Manchester on a very YOLO tip. So basically, I lost my job, and it was like the weekend prior to the Gymshark lift event that was in Manchester. So I was like, gonna go to that anyway. But then, like, I think I had come up to Manchester like 2-3 weeks prior to that. So I was like, I can't really afford it. Lost my job in it. So I was like, I told Ross, and he was like, yeah, just come up. You was gonna come up anyway. And I was like, yeah, but can't really afford it. He's like, yeah, I got you. So obviously, he paid for my train ticket to go up there. Obviously, very thankful for Ross. He was like, you can stay till like Tuesday, because like his missus was gone till then. So he was like, yeah, Grace has gone till Tuesday. You got till then. You can kind of figure it out. And I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. So Saturday, Sunday, we kind of just like, I was just working at the gym. Like, I was working at the Gymshark lift, you know, I was doing everything, like going around, taking a picture with fans, just trying to like build my rapport with Gymshark, trying to be like, this is why you should sign me, guys. Come on, like, come on. They're taking pictures with me. I'm signing belts.
I'm famous. I'm famous.
Like, come on, you can see that they like me here. Like, the fans fuck with me. So yeah, we're just doing that the entire weekend. And like on the last day, I think the best thing that happened was like they told like one of my guys that I was like very friendly with from one of the shoots I had done prior was like, yo, come in when Ryan Terry does the posing seminar. I was like, cool. So I came back for the posing seminar, they let me in. And then like me and Ryan Terry just ended up going back and forth, teaching people how to do the posing. I ended up putting it on my Instagram, and it did quite well considering the content it was. And then like they were like to me, yeah, we really like the way you and Ryan was like bouncing off each other. Because I know one thing they really like a Gymshark tip for anyone that's listening that wants a Gymshark contract is they like it when athletes work well together. You know, they don't just want the brand to be like, oh yeah, this guy is on Gymshark and like they're great guys together. They like people like working together. So like if you can work well with other people on Gymshark, regardless of the situation, that will be like an eye opener for them. Anyway, so obviously that helped. Then I think on Monday, like we was like, oh, we'll figure it out. Tuesday came, Grace came back. We're like, I'm not leaving. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna stay, but I'm not leaving. I think I stayed on like in their like office space until like the Monday. Lucky for me, on Friday, from like some shoots I did with Gymshark and my pay from the job I lost, it came through. So me and Ross just paid for an Airbnb, about 40-minute walk from their house, 10-minute drive. So I was literally staying there, and it was literally just a case of me walking down to do my check-ins every morning. So remember that I was doing them videos every morning in like right next to the window that was Ross's flat. She walked there, fasted every morning, and then take them shots. I think that
I was jealous of the lighting, man. I was jealous I was getting shit lighting where I was like, oh, I wish I had.
It's just the most natural lighting. They just have a massive balcony and like just massive window, bro. It's so good, like it's so good. But yeah, so I was just taking those like, so I think that was a factor. Then I'll go downstairs. I think as well, like most people don't have the ability to just like have calls done every day. You know, like whenever you got a picture, you know, I think that it takes a day or two before your coach can really take a assessment because it's a picture or a video or whatever. When I'm next to Ross every single day, he's looking at me every single day. He knows exactly, like, for example, like Ross is very meticulous. He can tell when I'm flat, even though I like, you know what it's like, you know, when you're black, you're bubbly, you know, you've got the round muscle bellies. Everyone thinks you're full as fuck and you're flat as shit. He could just see it from just like the little points, like my chest, my obliques, like my obliques hair, like they start to come out, like you can see my rib cage and stuff like that. My chest, it starts to get really flat at the top. Like when I hit a side chest, when I'm full, my chest, like my top chest, like almost hits my chin. When I'm flat, it just goes like this. And like you could just see like the differences. Like I remember even when Grace wasn't used to seeing me like between flat and full, she was like, "Oh, you're looking really full right now." And then I remember Russ looking at her, and he's like, he is fucking flat. He's in the muck right now. Like, and like I think that ability there was what made it so much easier just to come in completely 10 out of 10 peeled. Like, and also allowing myself to never be too flat for too long, because I think I was like running flat for like maybe the longest I did for 3 or 4 days. Whereas there's probably days where you was like, I'm flat, and you're telling Hader, I'm flat, and he's like, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Maybe you could push a bit more, but you was flat to the mat, like you needed a refeed. And I'm sure there was times when like he made the right call as well, obviously.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like as
I
a
think
whole,
it's communication when you're not actually with the person. It's communication, and I'm like, I question. The thing is, I like to have my input a lot, and I'm probably a bad client. Not a bad client, but coaches probably might get a little bit irritated with the way I go about stuff, because I know I'm like, I know my body, because we know our bodies, and I'm very confident that I know my own body. So I'll throw in an idea. I'll be like, look, this is what I think we should do. 90% of the time, he shuts me down and he says, shut the fuck up and get on with it, or nah, that's not the right thing to do. But I'll always be throwing in ideas. Are you throwing in ideas like that, or do you just kind of just let it go? What type?
I let it go. But with that being said, like let's just say like this: there was definitely refeeds that came in that I was surprised happened, if that makes sense. Like I was definitely looking in the mirror. I was like, I'm starting to flatten off. I think I'm gonna go another day without a refeed, and I'll get to my check-in and be like, he's like, yeah, you're flat as fuck. Refeed.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really nice feeling. But by the end of it, I kind of started to know exactly what to look for. And like there was times when I'd be like, I'm getting a refeed today, and then I'll see Ross and he's like, yeah, refeed. I'm like,
so what kind of refeeds were you doing? Were you doing like say like a Five Guys a cheat meal, or was you doing full?
we just up the food. Like I think when I came down to Manchester, we had like an actual cheat meal where I had just a pizza and a dessert. But then after that, like it was just clean, just more food than what I was already eating. Like I never did.
So that whole prep for the Island Pro Show, technically your first proper pro prep, you had that one pizza, then that whole prep would.
Yeah, that one pizza, and then the rest of it was just all clean refeeds.
Yeah,
I think it worked well. I think that we could have done a burger and chips before the show, but like I came in like pretty much perfect anyway.
Good.
I was eating muffins all day and shit. Like I ate like 2 muffins before I went to bed, and then 2 muffins like during the day. And I bought those muffins to have after the show, and it just ended up being one of those things where it's like, smash the muffin in now. Like
I had, so for my prep, I had I didn't have no off-plan meals. My off-plan meal was at Christmas. And then I didn't have nothing since Christmas. Or I think I had McDonald's at the start of January. And yeah, I just did more food. Just did more food. You don't need to be smashing shit ton of stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what do you think about the more food thing rather than having?
I prefer more food, because I like the food that I eat anyway. I like cooking as well.
I used to think I used to be one of those advocates of like a Five Guys mid prep and stuff like that. I was always looking forward to them. I genuinely saw like, I think that your body is a lot more responsive when you can say I've eaten 500 grams of carbs, or I put an extra 250 grams of carbs in today, rather than I've had a Five Guys today, because
it's all data. It's all data.
And they're not weighing the Five Guys. So you might go to one Five Guys and they give you a bit extra chips. You might go to one Five Guys and they put an extra bit of salt or an extra bit of fucking ketchup. And all of this is like sodium that you're just not necessarily counting for. So one day you might have like a Five Guys and it's really fucking like saucy with extra like salt and stuff like that. And then you come in perfect. And you re-duplicate that. And then maybe there's a amount of lactose on the sauce a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're not as like perfect as you was the last time you had one. Then you're like, why am I not the same? Whereas if you have like an extra, 250 grams of rice in a day, all right, all I need to do is add another 250 grams of rice and I'm going to look relatively similar to what I did last time.
Yeah, and that's why we weigh things like salt as well.
Exactly. Or like count the shakes at least.
Yeah. It's 2 grams of salt a meal. You got to work it out. I worked out like 2 grams equals like 6 turns or something. So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
like,
exactly
right,
like that.
6 turns, that gives me about 2 grams of salt. So then it'd be like 2 grams of salt, 10 grams of salt in the day or whatever, and split it between all the meals or whatever. So yeah, it's just about being meticulous and understanding the data for you. And I think just using proper food, managing that works 10 times better. So now we've really spoke about kind of what's happened this season. Actually, let's follow up with a gyno thing, because that was I was gonna say let's go back right to the
No,
start.
that would actually be in order of the way we're talking about everything.
Yeah.
So
So let's have a talk about that, and then we'll go back right to the past, and then we'll talk about the future. But let's talk about the immediate what's been going on now, which we have been doing with the shows. But you had gyno surgery after that show. It was like a week after that show, was it?
it was about 3 weeks afterwards. I got on the first show was on the 13th, so yeah, about 3 weeks later. So essentially, what happened was like we was gonna do Alicante last week, the M Pro Classic, and then I got feedback from the judges saying basically I would have got sixth place if I didn't have Gyno. So we lost 2 whole places. So I got 8th. So obviously I placed the top British. Proud of that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I lost 2 whole places. So I was like, all right, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go get the Gyno surgery. So I literally, as soon as I came back, so you know, they didn't have the Airbnb anymore. So I just came back to London, called up the people, and then I just got the surgery booked in for like the next possible time. So I got it done as soon as possible just to make sure that I can get the off season started ASAP, because there are still holes in my physique. We just can't make up for some of them with food, if that makes sense. So we could have, I know I would have 100% been better for Alicante, but whilst managing Gyno, whilst managing all this stuff, whilst knowing that we lost places before, like what happens if we go to Alicante and I get third? That means we knew that we just fucked up and went into a show, continued our prep when I could have got first. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's the case, but just with that idea. So obviously just went and got the gyno surgery done. So I'm on my 3rd week of recovery, healing up amazingly well. This is the one thing no one ever tells anyone. Like everyone, they get gyno surgery, like, oh yeah, I just got gyno surgery. I got to wear the vest, and then like we'll be back in the gym. Bro, you get this like massive scar tissue where the gyno was in it. So like I remember taking it off, looking in the mirror, and I was like, it looks like it's still there, bro. But what it really is just the tissue all around the nipple, like all around the gland itself that's been removed, has just swelled over essentially. So like, you know, you have tissue there, you have your nip, and then you have the muscle laying underneath it. So like it's like that layer in between the skin and your muscle that's like scarring over. So I've been like rubbing bio oil on it and like basically massaging it, just massaging it like in circle one way, and then I massage it the other way in circles, and then do the same with the other, like with both sides. And that's literally like, I think so. They told me when I was on the phone with them, I should start rubbing out the scar tissue within 4 weeks. So I would have started from next week, but I've been healing so quick that I've been like very comfortable to do it since last week.
Yeah. Have you been on TRT? Are you running TRT?
Yeah, I'm on TRT, but obviously not TRT GH, just like bump that shit up. That with TB and BPC.
Yeah.
I think it's
so that's helping with recovery and stuff in terms of
like you're basically Wolverine.
yeah. It's good to hear that you're back on kind of you recovering, you're feeling good about it, you're feeling positive, and it's all dealt with fine.
Yeah, I mean,
I know how it can be a stress on your mind. Because I had a similar issue. I injected L-carnitine. I've still got the issue now. I need to get surgery.
you got Gyno?
No. I did L-carnitine, and it didn't absorb, so I've got a lump on my shoulder, just unabsorbed. And that's what I reckon that's what's caused me play. It did cause me a loss at the regionals. I spoke to the head judge. He said it's a different story if you didn't have that lump on your shoulder. I placed 3rd. I reckon I could have won. Sorry, Sam, if you're watching this. So Sam, I do the Physique Talks podcast with. I reckon I could have. It would have been a harder battle between me and him if I didn't have the lump on my shoulder. But anyway, yeah. Then obviously I went into Alicante. But like you said, it's in here. as you would have gone into the Emperor Classic, you would have had that into your mind in the prep. And you're thinking about it, and you're like, the judges are going to see it. You're getting that anxiety, and that anxiety can then raise cortisol levels, and you got to hold water, and you're just not going to bring your best look, are you?
And the reality of it is, even if I was able to ignore all of that and go in with the mindset of I don't give a fuck, and you should say peaked perfectly, it still would have been there. So it still would have caused a placing regardless, or 2 places, or 3 places, or they could have been super harsh and put me all the way at the bottom.
Yeah. They can do that. They can just drop you out and just ignore you, can't they?
So it's just one of those things where, and then I would have spent 4 extra weeks on prep, that more time that I'm in that hole, and then I would have
more money, the flights,
exactly. You spend all this money to save yourself 3K for a surgery. Surgery, I always recommend, if you've got anything wrong, address it, because bodybuilding is so cosmetic that if there's any imperfection, if you got acne, back knee, anything like that, you better get that removed before you go back on stage, because you just do not want to get on stage and not look perfect. Because the reality is, if you have 2 people and they have really good physiques, you should say, you got a great structure, he's got a great structure, great muscle belly's condition, but your back is riddled in spots. And you turn around and hit that back double. It's a no-brainer who you're going to pick. There's no way on earth that I'm going to pick somebody with craters on his back. So it's one of those things, like bodybuilding, and I think we don't talk about this enough. Bodybuilding isn't just about the body itself. It's about your skin. It's about your look. Are you going into a show with no trim? Are you going into a show with
you going into the show with no trim?
Are you coming on stage and your lips are dry? These are all things that are within your control that are gonna be judged. It's your presentation. You think you're gonna come on stage and just look crusty, have a couple crusts in your eyes and look good? It's impossible. So you have to make sure that these things are all all are done. Take care of your skin all year round. Make sure that, because it's all about because even when you see Phil Heath talking about bodybuilding and stuff like that, he's always talking about skin. He talks about the skin lays on you.
Thinking about it now, yeah. Glows.
His skin is perfect. When you see any top bodybuilder, and I mean genuinely top bodybuilder, perfect skin.
All right, so you dropping your skin routine then? All the gal them are going to be on this. All the gal them are going to be like, what's my skin routine?
You know what I think we need to do? I think as genuinely, business idea, right? A whole skin line. I'm saying body wash, hair wash, face wash, skin moisturizer, face moisturizer. I'm telling you from now.
You got that locked in. You got that locked in. There's no one.
Listen, I think I just thought of a flipping $1 million business idea.
Get on that right now.
I have to think about
we'll have to see how many people watch this. If people start watching this, we'll have to just quickly edit this bit out.
Listen, they can know, because the reality of it is that
you'll do it better.
It's not about. It's all about marketing anyway, baby.
Yeah, it is. If they got the face,
that's the one thing I learned on this prep: how to market. And that's another thing that you have to learn as a bodybuilder. You have to learn how to look up your skill. You have to learn how to market yourself. Chris Bumstead, who Chris Bumstead is. Chris Bumstead can still win all the Olympians he wants, but do you think that's 10 million followers came from he's got more than 10 million now. You think all of that came from just him being Mr. Olympia?
Yeah, because other people have done it in the past and they don't get nothing that came from.
Mr. Olympia, the actual open Mr. Olympia, they have more eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
They get way more coverage, Yeah. When you look at Classic, apart from Chris, who's getting talked about?
Yeah.
Maybe 3-4 other people. And that, barely. When it comes to the whole bodybuilding thing, that's the reason why we ain't winning, because we ain't marketing ourselves.
We're getting better. We are getting better. Bodybuilding's getting better. It's growing so much.
But you have to be an individual in it, though.
Yeah.
As an athlete, it's your job to market.
Yeah, it's not like the days back in the days where you could just go underground like Dorian Yates. People forget about you and not really care.
Yeah. There's so many other bodybuilders that they can go watch. That's why the YouTube matter. That's why the content matters. That's why you got to be like a person. You actually have to make yourself visible. People probably don't like a lot of people just because they don't know them.
You don't know them. Yeah, 100%. That's I've heard a lot of things flying about in terms of you know how Drive to Survive's massively boosted Formula One. Have you seen it on Netflix? So the Drive to Survive on Netflix, basically, it's behind the scenes. It's everything. They're talking to the teams, they're talking to the drivers, and that's massively boosted the ratings of Formula One. Formula One's got significantly, there's like 4 or 5 seasons on it now. And every year Formula One is growing, it's growing, it's growing. So I've listened to loads of podcasts like Desktop Bodybuilding, to give them a shout out. And as Phil had even talked about it on his, how bodybuilding could do with something like Drive to Survive, where we build up this person against this person, the coach against this coach, and we get the interviews. We just make a whole thing out of it and understand the bodybuilders instead of.
I had a massive idea like this. Like, even so, you see how you pay for your Olympia. Like, instead of paying for the Olympia pass, you can just get like a monthly subscription, kind of like Netflix, and you just follow everyone going through their preps. Anyone that's like, and then shows and stuff like that. These things will be very much interesting, but it takes a lot of money, takes a lot of time, and takes a lot of consistency. But
I think it takes action. I don't think bodybuilding lacks in money. I think maybe it lacks in action.
It lacks in money in my pocket, but it doesn't lack
in our pocket, but in the big man's pocket, it doesn't. I think it lacks in action. It lacks in they're making enough money, so they don't need to do certain stuff. But that certain stuff could potentially make them more money, and definitely could benefit us.
I was actually having a similar conversation with Ian, right? You're right, it will. But like, these are businessmen. And the problem is, if you have a massive outgoing with this could make us more money, then it doesn't. Because the Drive to Survive thing you're talking about, that investment of money isn't probably coming from the Formula One. It's probably coming from Netflix.
We need to show Netflix that we're fucking worth it, basically.
We need to show smaller companies that we're worth it first. And like, that's why, like, the Gymshark thing, people need to go out for that. Because if we can show Gymshark that people will come to the shows and people will enjoy the show when you put them on, they're going to do more. Because they're doing the Ryan Terry Classic. And from what I've spoken to about what they've got planned, that's going to be, it's going to be for bodybuilding show, even as a pro qualifier.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding show, it's going to be like next level, man. Like, you're going to be able to see athletes pumping up on the side. You're going to be able to see, you're going to have posing studios on the side and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot more interesting.
That's really good to hear. What more have you got to tell us about that? Because obviously I've never heard that. So people listening.
So essentially, the British finals. So it got moved to the October show. So that last year was the Arnold Classic. Then the True Fest was the British finals. So they moved the True Fest from the Arnold Classic to the British finals time, and then they moved the British finals to the end of the year in October.
Yeah.
Gymshark's taken over that, and they've partnered up with Ryan Terry. From what I know of, they have some very big guests. And when I mean very big, I mean like 7-time Mr. Olympia big guests coming down. They have Ryan Terry obviously going to be there. So, in my opinion, he's probably the biggest men's physique guy in the world. I would say he's probably bigger than some of the men's physique open, like Mr. Olympias. Like,
yeah, he's the OG, and he's the OG, man. Like, Ryan Terry's the OG.
He's the OG, exactly. He's men's physique. What I was saying? Like, there's a men's physique look. That's Ryan Terry.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that, and then I know that they're gonna have like they're gonna make it very much like the lift event. So it's in the same place. It's gonna be like very much built up. They're gonna have a massive stage for all the athletes. On the side, I know that they're gonna have like a pump up area. So it's gonna be an actual gym where you can pump up and get like your actual pump for the stage rather than just like some bands. And you're going to be able to see the athletes from the stands. So you're going to actually be able to see like your favorite, like fucking amateur on the side pumping up, or whatever men's physique guy pumping up, or the bikini pros and stuff like that were pumping up on the side. And it's going to allow the coaches to talk to them whilst they're getting their pumps rather than being backstage with them as well, which is going to be a lot more better. You can actually, and it's going to be a bit more immersive from that perspective.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think that's really important, because I feel like we can be separated from the crowd, from the coaches. Coaches aren't allowed here. They're not allowed to do this. There's so many restrictions. Maybe if we just open that, be a little bit more lenient, allow the bodybuilders to be a bit more free, then we can, just like when you're training on Muscle Beach in California, like people walking past and they're taking videos. They're like, oh wow, look at this, and yeah. But I think saying that, so it's like we can't complain as bodybuilders that we don't make money if we're not willing to put in the effort to show out for
that's the reality.
Show everyone that we deserve.
The reality, there's gonna be dudes that are gonna be there, and I'm calling it from now. There's gonna be guys that are gonna be there, and they're gonna be mad that they have to pump out while people can see it.
Ram, it's a job. It's you're about to go on stage in front of all these motherfuckers. I see people in the gym and they don't want to take the clothes off in the gym and just do a bit of posing. I said, bro, you're a bodybuilder. Take your clothes off now.
Take it off. Take it off right now.
Just take it off. Get naked. Even but anywhere, I'm just like, you're a bodybuilder. Take your clothes off.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, my clients, I've had them at a service station 2 days out from the show or whatever, or 1 day out from the show. Oh, I'm at the service station. I can't get pictures.
Do it there.
Take your clothes off. This is bodybuilding. You're about to go on stage. Everyone's going to look at you. Just take it off. This is us. Show out.
And that's the fact, and that's the reality. We have to make sure as bodybuilders, it's our job. You can't just do this social media thing. You can't just do the hiding. You can't do the hiding. I'm gonna show my physique on stage. Don't be doing all that. Maybe if you get top level and people want to care, but like you can't just pop up one day and be like, guys, this is a secret prep. Nobody gives a fuck.
No, you were secret in the first place. You was a secret before the prep.
When I did that whole Island Pro, I knew for a fact that there was more people gonna care about the show if I posted every day. I ended up going viral like 3-4 times. I got one video with like I don't know how much it's got now, but I remember it was on like 1.5 million by the time I got to Ireland. That's not coming because I just randomly popped up and was like, hey guys, I'm doing Ireland. No. It came up because every single day I showed everybody what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Every day I show people what I look like flat. I show people what I look like full. I show people what I look like when I felt like shit. I show people what I look like when I felt amazing. There was times when I looked at the picture and I was like, it's not that great. I still posted it. There was times when I was like fucking hype about what I'm posting. I posted it. Like if you do that, it's just gonna be able to bring that, that energy. Like we don't have Sky Sports showing up and showing out for us. So we got to be our own Sky Sports. We don't have ESPN. We don't have all these people sitting there talking about us. So we got to make that for ourselves. And that's one thing I always say. You got to make sure that you make what you want, if that makes sense. Like if you want 1 million eyeballs on you, you got to make 1 million eyeballs care. That's it. Like I think a lot of people, they want the glitz and the glamour. They want to get the contracts. There's a lot of people that I'm sure they would love to have a Gymshark contract, and they're posting maybe 2 times a month.
Yeah.
Who's gonna see that?
No.
Even if the 1-2 times people you post, you get 1,000 likes on that post. You post twice, you got 1,000 likes. That's 2,000 posts, 2,000 likes. That's not that many when there's people that I can get. If I can post every single day and get 500 likes, by the end of the month, I'm gonna get almost 5 times, maybe even 50 times the likes.
Yeah, but you've got return engagement there as well, and you've got eyes coming back, and it's all about eyes coming back to
how do you get that?
What's going on? What's going on? You want people constantly like in tune with your story. I mean, I hardly have any followers. I got 7,000 followers, but I say my followers are absolute G's. I was in the gym the other day. I had 3 people come up to me and say, "I watch your things. Like this motivate."
Mate, you'd be surprised how many people actually see your shit, bro.
Yeah, this other guy come up to me and says, like, "Oh, I just watched your video, your back workout, and I'm doing all my back workout based on that." And that's 3 people in one session that have come up to me. I've got 7,000 followers, and it's because I put all my emotions out there. I tell a story and I get people engaged in the story. So it doesn't even matter how many followers you have. Like if you make people care and give people emotion and let people follow your story, they tune into you, and then they tune into bodybuilding, then they invest into bodybuilding, and then that then makes you money. They're then going to use my code on Insight. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And that's how you make money as a bodybuilder. And that's how we excel the sport and take it to the next level.
Hit the nail on the head, mate. That's exactly it. Like you can overcomplicate it, or you can cry about you're not getting enough followers. I remember I've been doing the social media thing for years, like since 2019, let's just say. So since I did my first prep, That's and I mean investing money, like actually paying a cameraman to come film me every fucking like week or every month to make content. Like I was doing it all, made 3 accounts, doing it all. Like it took me some fucking graft to get to where I am today, and I'm not even close to satisfied. But the reality of it is that you have to put in that fucking graft. Like you have to spend the money, you have to put in that work. You're gonna see people succeeding where you're failing every single day. You know, you're gonna see people that have no muscle, and you're like, why you got fucking 500 followers, 500,000 followers, and I've only got 3K.
Man looks like my pinky finger. I've done that before. I looked at accounts like, why do people care about your workouts?
You know why they care? Because they
look like a little thing, my little finger.
100%. But then you look back on their social media and they've been grafting.
Yeah,
they've been grafting, and they've been on TikTok, and they've been on YouTube, and they've been putting out content for weeks or for months or for years.
You have it consistency.
You ain't been doing that, you know, and that's the thing. You know, you look at it,
you got to take ownership for everything. Take ownership for everything. Like since I started taking out, like I blame myself for everything now. Since I started blaming myself for everything, I said this on the last podcast, that first one we did. I got this tattoo. I am the architect of my own destruction. And every single day, I have to look at that now. I am the architect of my own destruction. And that makes me blame myself for everything and stop blaming other things. Everything's my fault. And when you make everything your fault, you will excel times 10 because it's everything's down to you.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. I think it's very much easy to get trapped in that sentiment of I should be doing that because I am better at that. But when you actually look at it in the grand scheme of things, you probably aren't, or you're not doing enough to make it or to prove it, if that makes sense. Like I could be the best footballer. I could be better than Ronaldo, right? But if I'm not going to play football, then I don't prove that. If I'm not playing against the best in the world, I don't prove that. You know, even if you don't go, like, if you think you're the best, you think you have pro mentality, you know, the ability to be a pro, and then you go into an international stage and then you're getting smoked, you don't have the ability to be a pro because you're going up against the best amateurs in the world and you ain't doing that. You know, you have to make sure that you are the person that is going, okay, what is it that I'm not good at? What is it that I can improve on?
Yeah, something that we spoke about, me and Sam, on the Physique Talks podcast, where we talked about post-show binging and eating and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we've all done it, but I think one of the main things was when they're like, oh, you live like a normal person, whatever, you got to be a normal person for a few days. I was like, bruv, if I wanted to be a normal person, I'd be a fucking normal person. I want to be a pro bodybuilder.
The reality of it is that
exactly what I need to do post-show to make sure that I'm going to be in the best thing. I don't care about living like a normal person for a few days because I'll go and do that if I wanted to do that. I want to be a pro bodybuilder, so I have to fucking do that.
Are you doing what normal people do when you go on a massive post-show binge? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But that's how people describe it, though. They're like, "Oh, I'm living like
some normality," but it's just that's a lie because no normal person binges out and eats fucking 5,000 calories because they just did a show. Like,
so I guess that's another rinse of it. No normal person actually does do that, thinking about it, man. It's a whole situation. But anyone watching this, they can go and watch that podcast with me and Sam, Physique Talks podcast. We spoke about just the whole binging thing and just because it's kind of a given. It's something expected of us. It's pushed onto us. It's kind of the narrative that's pushed onto us rather than
100%. How many companies profit off us binging?
Yeah, you're expected. Everyone's, oh, why? What are you eating after your show? What company?
That's a common question, right?
It's from, and then you're stocking up your shelves and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a whole topic within itself. So right, we're going on quite a lot on this. So if we break away from the social media stuff, I think we can make this into 2 podcasts, and I want to get you back on and talk about the future. So if we can talk about the early start of this, you coming into training, just real quick, breeze over that, and then save the future for next time.
All right, let's do that.
Back and let them motherfuckers know about the future. But right now, you picking up a weight for the first time, why did you do that? You watch anime. Is that something that drove you to
okay, massively? But I actually have, let's just say, 2 funny stories of what actually made me start going crazy in the gym. So, how do I explain this the easiest way possible? Okay. So I was working in a gym called Fitness First. Most people know Fitness First, right? At least in London. So yeah, we was training, whatever. I was barely training. Actually, I was not training for 6 months of working. I started working there the 1st of July. And by the time I started training properly was January. But I remember, like, so my mum is a personal trainer there. Well, she trains there, and she used to work there as well. My mum's like, she got her pro card in the IFBB Elite Pro, so she's jacked in that women's physique. Got a sick physique. Like, my mum's probably more jacked than a lot of people watching this right now. So obviously, like, a whole bunch of people were like, "Yo, your mum's more jacked than you, ha ha ha. She got bigger arms than you, ha ha ha." And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "You're not lying." Like, it's kind of, yeah, you know what I mean? You don't need to chill with that one because it's hurting my feelings. Then, like, so I was kind of like, all right, you know what? Let me get in the gym. Like, let me get in the gym. But then I was like, half-assed, right? Then I must have gone on holiday with my boys. And my boys do not train. They're like, you know, let's just say it, they're kind of fat. Like, so obviously, like, I'm looking at them and I'm like, yeah, I'm in the best shape. I'm skinny, but I got like fucking chest and da-da-da-da-da. But I'm skinny, you know what I mean? So it's like, who cares? So I'm looking at them now, and they start doing this. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, no way. There's no way on earth that my friends can do this and I can't. So I decided January 1st, going hard in the gym.
Just to do the little...
just to do the chest bump, bro.
Rock do that first. I just seen it on movies and people. I was able to do that for time even without any impact. So
I couldn't do it before I got to the gym, bro. Like, I didn't have the mind to muscle connection to do it, so I just couldn't do it. So I was, what the fuck? Like, so I just got into the gym, and then I think then, like, after like a few months, I started seeing progress, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I want to look like an anime character.
So how old are you at this point?
This is 25.
25.
Yeah, like, I just turned 25 because, like, my birthday's November, at the end of November. So yeah, just turned 25. And then I was like, yeah, let's get it. Then, like, I was like, actually, no, 24, sorry. And then, like, after a year, I was like, yeah, I look quite mad for someone that just been training for a year. Let's do a show.
Did you start all night, or did you start all night?
Yeah, all night, like, completely, like, nothing. Like, I think I tried Trebulus once, and that was it. Like,
I was in uni. I was like, what's the best thing to boost testosterone? And just some random Amazon tablets and trying to find.
I think everyone's done it once. Like, you know, I can't blame you.
Doing a like where you obviously don't masturbate and stuff like that, just to boost, boost testosterone. So I did that in uni for like months, just so I could try and get hench.
When I started training, there was no way on earth I was going to be able to do that, bro. Because especially after a leg day, yeah. Like, now it's kind of leveled up, right? Don't get me wrong, sex drive is still crazy, but like, it's still leveled out, right? But when I first started training, like, I had a high sex drive, but then there was times where I'd train legs and I'm sitting in bed and my dick is hurting, bro. I'm like, what is going on, bro? This is crazy.
And that's why you were natty as well. So you just got a big natural, bro, sex drive from everything from training. Is just that enhanced everything.
Let's say it like this: even when I was natural, I still had my sex drive all the way until show day. And I still have, like, even now, I don't lose my sex drive.
You're not
at all. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, going back to that story then. Anyway, what were you saying? So yeah, you're 24 now. You're in the gym. You want to do the pec dance.
I wanted to do the pec dance. So I started going, very, crazy. And then, like, I was like, all right, cool, let's go. Then I've started to put on, like, a good amount of tissue. I remember, like, one time I was like, when you first start putting on tissue, you don't really notice it. I remember someone was like, yo, your back looks crazy. Like, they took a video and they was like, give me your phone and I'll show you. And they took a video of me. I was like, oh shit, all right, cool. Like, that was like the main body part that was always like quite responsive. And then I started to just like kind of go, a bit more. Then I started to really fall in love with the process. And I did my first prep. I think the moment that I did my first prep, I was just like, I'm going to push myself as hard as I can and just see what I can do. And also, another reason why I was motivated to do my prep is because my mum, she's going to hate me for saying this, but she is terrible on prep. Like, I mean terrible. Like, she's a fucking bitch on prep. Like, there's days where she will come home and she will just find something to shout at. So I was like, man, this can't be as hard as you're making it out to be. So I'm going to prove that it's not that hard. It was that hard, but I'm still not a dick. I'm still all right. Like I get a bit of a short temper, but I'm okay. But yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. So that's a good enough reason for me to get onto, like, another reason to get onto stage. But then I remember the minute I came off stage, I think like I had won my first trophy with, like, it was like an ultimate beginner show with UKBFF.
Yeah.
It was just like a massive euphoric feeling, like, where like it just felt like this is what I meant to fucking do. Like I knew from that moment that like there is nothing on this earth other than this. Like so remember, like, you know, I was saying to you earlier that I made music. Like when I was making music, I used to love music. You know, I perform when I was on stage, especially. I used to really enjoy, like, live for being on stage. But no feeling was as euphoric as winning my first show. Like that feeling there is unreplaceable. Like it's not even close. Like I legitimately was like, yeah, this is fucking crazy. Like it almost felt like it felt like, you know, when you take pills, it felt like when you first, you know, like it felt like that. And then like, it was crazy. Like I just knew like this is what it was meant for me, especially after like beating some of the guys that I beat. Like some of these guys, it was an old beginner show, but some of these guys have been training way longer than me. Some of these guys have been on gear. Some of these, like, I remember backstage, we're all talking. Mind you, I was like 81 kilo stage, like stage lean. And I remember hearing them all being like, oh yeah, like we're just at the top of the cap. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like 10 kilos. Like I weighed in with my clothes on, and the guy like looked at me and was like, are you sure you want to do classic? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Like, and then like all these guys talking about like just about making the weight, having to strip down to get weighed in and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck, these guys are big. And I just remember my stepdad was backstage with me trying to help me like with the oil and stuff. And he looked at me, he was just like, you've won. And I was like, what do you mean? I've gone out. And then as soon as I heard that win, I was like, oh fuck, he was right. And then that moment onwards, it was like, yeah, let's do it. And then, like I did the
It's good. I would just reminded me saying that. Like I remember one of my shows, they said, are you sure you don't want to do juniors? Because I was a junior in the junior age. I think I was just 23, and I was like, I'm not doing juniors this year. I'm just gonna throw myself into men's. So and then it was like, are you sure you want to do like? And I was like, yeah. I think I won that show. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was, but I remember them saying, are you sure you don't want to do juniors? It's like, come on, man.
I think a lot of people,
come on, man.
I think a lot of people have had that. Like, are you sure you're like there's kind of rubrics, right? Like when you're younger, you're not necessarily meant to beat older guys. When you're lighter, you're not meant to beat bigger guys. There's all these little like things that people kind of try to push on you. So I think it's kind of nice when you have like, you kind of break that norm. Like, you know, being 10 kilos, probably like 15 kilos under the weight cap. No, this is before the weight cap that they had now. So I think it was at 90. I think the amateur weight cap was at 91, 92.
Yeah.
From my weight cap. So I was like 12 kilos under the cap. So like you're not meant to beat people 12 kilos under the cap. But
no, you wouldn't. If someone says that, like in theory and textbook, it don't.
Yeah, on paper, you're not beating anyone that size.
Yeah.
But obviously, when you got structure, when you got posing, when you got certain genetics and stuff like that, you know, you're beating people that have, you know, less genetics, just to say.
Yeah, right.
If I had somebody that was as genetically gifted as me and close to the cap,
yeah. when you got the structure that you've got, it's insane, man, isn't it? So we're gonna finish this off now, but I just want to hear a little bit more about this music to finish it off. So what was it you were on stage? What did you do on stage?
It was mostly just like opening from, like, I think the biggest stage I ever stepped on, like, for myself was opening for one of my mates. He did like a show in, I like to say like Shoreditch ends, like that kind of side. And it was like, I'd say maybe 200 people at the, like when the thing was maxed out and stuff like that. Like nothing crazy big. And I was like the first opening act as well. So like it wasn't even.
So what was it? Singing, rapping? What?
Oh, I used to rap, but it was like, do you know, like Most Def?
Yeah.
That kind of rap where, like, you know what I mean? Man might sing a couple hooks and that, but it's mostly just like, I had one song where I was kind of, well, two songs where I was actually singing, but like actually rapping though, like proper like boom bap, like MF Doom, like Madlib beats, them kind of vibes. Like I even remember, like I think the last music video I dropped, it was when I went to Japan. We filmed it in London though, but we edited it in Japan, and like we had like all this text and stuff like coming up on the screen, like with everything in like Japanese and stuff like that. And it was to a mad bit, like it was a Madlib beat, but YouTube ended up removing it because they said it was another song basically, but it wasn't that song. It was a different song that I had taken from it. But like, yeah, so copyright kind of ruined music for me, like in a sense of just like it put a bit of taste in my mouth. I don't know if you ever got hit with anything dirty with like copyrights, but you know when you put in a whole bunch of effort, yeah, you know it's not your beat, but it's like
stealing beats everywhere, just stealing beats left, right, and center.
If you put it on a music video on YouTube, like that was normal, right?
Yeah, because I used to rap back in the days I used to do all that kind of stuff. But I was just thinking kind of like how we're creatives, so that's why we understand the social media side of it as well, because we are creatives. So some bodybuilders, they don't get in it from a creative side. And I
would say that my music helped me mostly with the stage side. And when it comes to the creative side, I actually did photography and video art.
Yeah, so I went to film school.
So, yeah, so that's what actually got me with the content side. But when it comes to like the performative side and actually having that ability to just be on stage, like if you see me on stage, like you know, like this guy is meant to be on stage, like he loves it.
Yeah,
and I think that's where it comes from with the music. Like even when you're kind of in the booth, you're on the stage. You know, it's just a different kind of stage.
No, to perform, yeah, we're really similar in that. Then, aren't we? Obviously, I went to film school to study like cinematography and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then I rapped as well. I've done all that through. So music, film, creativity, but that's why I think.
All right, guys, an album's coming out soon.
Yo, me and you are gonna be dropping some fire. I've tried to write recently. I've tried to think about writing, not recently, maybe over the last few years, but it's like I don't know. You don't know what to write about anymore. I'm like, yo, what do I write about? Being in the gym? You man, just lift a weight. Yeah. What next?
I mean,
man's getting hench. I feel like it's so hard to write because I had all that stuff in like back in the days, but now it's like I'm a bodybuilder, so like what can I write about?
You can write about life. You can write about those experiences that you've been had. You know, how long was Jay-Z rapping about selling drugs for when he weren't selling drugs?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just depends on where does your creative pen take you and stuff like that. You know, I haven't tried to write in a while purely because like I had a few like, let's just say bitter tastes from music. But like, if I was to, I feel like my music was kind of away from everything. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm selling drugs and shit like that. So like, if I probably went back to it, I wouldn't have to worry about like concepts, I guess.
Yeah.
It's about the kind of songs that you want to make as well. Like, what do you feel when you hear that beat? I think a lot of the time as well, it's the beat that has that effect. You know, what does that song feel to you? And then you kind of like start to make, or you piece together like let's just say it like this: the beat is not just the canvas. The beat is the canvas. It's the brush. And it's the color palettes that you have, you know. And if you don't like those colors, are you gonna make a Picasso? You have to make sure that you create the beat correctly, you know. Pick that canvas correctly. Pick the right material, because if you have let's just say a certain canvas material, maybe that pen that you like to use doesn't run well on it, but a brush does. But you're not really good with a brush, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of like, when it comes to music, I think that. I think that a lot of people try to do too much of, this is what's hot, let's get there. But a lot of the time, that's not what makes you, and that's not what makes you unique. And that's why a lot of artists, they kind of within like a certain realm, because they're trying to paint on the canvas that they don't like. You know? Yeah. That's why like Kanye West is so like good, because he changes that palette. You know, he doesn't just stay within one canvas. He doesn't just stay within one color palette. He moves between different ones. Like even every album, they all sound different from each other.
Yeah. What do you think about saying that sense? So then Drake's recent album where it was like more housey vibes, did you vibe with that? You was like, is there a good decision? You thought expanding in that direction was good? Or, I mean, the first time I heard it, I didn't like it. But then time after time again, I found myself you know what, Drake, I feel like you know what what you're doing here. Like
Okay.
I'll hear it in a shop or something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, actually, you know, you find in time when you're like, I find myself singing along, and I didn't like this song when it first came out, but now I like it.
So I agree with that. I mean, I personally didn't like it that much either. But with that being said, like, I get it. And we have to remember as well, Drake is an international artist. And when you go to like Europe, you know, they're not listening to fucking, you know, they're not listening to Scorpio out there. You know, they're listening to that shit. You know, when you go to the radios, like, you'll be surprised when you go like Spain and shit like that. I remember when 6ix9ine was like not really cool no more. Like when he was in jail. I remember I was in Spain, in Barcelona, and they started playing like some of his songs on the radio because they don't care. Like it's not the same, you know. They just like what they like.
Yeah,
the music fits within that genre, you're gonna get rinsed.
Yeah,
and I think that's what he kind of did. I think he decided, I'm gonna go for this market now.
Yeah, he's good at jumping markets, and he
has so much material that if you don't like it, you can just go back to it.
Yeah, he's all over the place. The UK thing, he got Jamaican thing, he got the Canadian thing, he got the US thing. He's just getting audience from everywhere. He just knows how to pull in audience, doesn't he?
The worldwide artist, man. He's a worldwide artist. So yeah, you have to be very much versatile if you want to be very well received around the world. Like most artists, when you look at like 50 Cent and stuff like that, even he's quite versatile within his music. Like that Curtis album ain't nothing like Get Rich or Die Trying. It's actually very much different. Like even AO Technology, like what's that next to like In the Club? You know what I mean? Like these songs are actually very much different from each other. But like something like AO Technology in Europe is gonna get, rinsed. So you just have to kind of like know your market. Whereas something like, like even something like Many Men, it's gonna get rinsed in like France way more than it's gonna get rinsed in like Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think your understanding of all this kind of stuff, it translates well into what you do now as well. Because it's not just understanding it's understanding in marketing and everything in it. It's not just understanding in just this music that we're talking in now. You well versed pretty much on a big spectrum of things, but it's pulling from previous experiences, isn't it?
Exactly that. Like I said, as it's our job to be marketers. The Netflix don't come involved until we show them that it's worth it.
Yeah, but like these previous experiences and us being involved in music and creativity and stuff, I feel like they put us ahead of the bodybuilder that just went into the gym at 12 years old and that's all that is known, and he's just had chicken, rice, and tuna and protein.
That time in between me being a bodybuilder and me like basically being a bum, let's say, going clubbing all the time and like not caring about nothing but chasing gal, I needed that so much for me to just be a human with actual personality. If I was like, let's just say 15 in the gym going crazy, trying to be a bodybuilder, I wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I see a lot of bodybuilders, just no personality, no interest outside of, but I've got so much I'm interested in history and music, like art, just so much other stuff, but I think it enhances the whole thing, for it allows us to
it makes you a person.
It allows us to have that other thing outside of bodybuilding, which I think is really important.
And I think it makes you it allows you to kind of reach out to people that aren't within bodybuilding and be like, I mean, I don't like bodybuilding. I have no care for someone to be in their boxes, but I kind of like you. I kind of want to see where you're going with this.
Invested into you.
Yeah, you're not selling bodybuilding, you're selling yourself, and you just have to decide how you want to sell it. That's what OnlyFans is. That's what YouTubers are. There's not very much difference other than the type of content you create, but it's just about what kind of person do you want to create? What kind of person do you want to, allow into your world, or what kind of person are you trying to market to? When you look at Arnold, did you watch the Arnold documentary?
I've not watched it yet. That's something
I only watched 2 parts, right? The first part is just about bodybuilding. The second part, he talks about being an actor.
Yeah.
And you see why Arnold was where he is. It ain't got nothing to do with him being a good actor It ain't got nothing to do with him being a good bodybuilder. It's not got nothing to do with him having a sick physique. It's him being a fucking likable person with high charisma and allowing himself to be actually somebody that, one, people wanted to be around and kind of talk to and stuff like that. But then two, not allowing other people to dictate what he did with his life. I think that because he was like saying like he got rich and then he went into acting. So it allowed him to, like, if somebody came to him and was like, oh yeah, we've got this role for you, but you're a bodyguard standing in the corner. He's like, bro, I don't want to take that. I'm the main character.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, you're not the main character. And he's like, yes, I am the main character. Stuff your place, you know, stuff your role. Give it to someone else. And then eventually he got the role he wanted.
Yeah.
Just from that, it was like, oh yeah, we can use him for this and we can use him for that.
He set his own standards, didn't he?
He set his own standard.
I'll listen to Rick Ross saying something. We're going to wrap it up in a sec for you guys. I know it's getting long now, but Rick Ross, I took something from him and I utilized that. To be fair, it helped me get this Insight sponsorship, and the Insight could sponsor in this podcast as well. He was like, you set your own ceiling in terms of if you accept a sponsorship from some company that's down here, that's you've set your ceiling. If you really believe you're worth more, you've got to just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually something will come up and you can take that higher thing. And then once you get that, you're going to do everything to prove to them people that you're worth their time. Just like you with Gymshark, that Gymshark's up there. And then once you get that, you've got to do everything possible to show them over. If they ask you for 2 posts a month, you give them 5 posts a month. They ask for this, you give them more. Insight ask for this off me, I give them a whole fucking podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your worth. Because as soon as you say, all right, this little clothing company are gonna send me a few free clothes, and then you're just gonna put it up, and like you know, like Love Islanders that come out of Love Island, yeah, some little call bongo to this number, and then you'll find out your crush, and they're posting all this. People are just like, yo, that's your ceiling done. What big company is gonna want you now?
If I was working with some small company prior to Gymshark would be like, oh, he's busy. You don't need me.
You've got to save yourself for the big dogs, and yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. You know, like take whatever, you know, set your standard exactly that. You know, like you can't be taking some small deal hoping for the best. You know, unless you think that this smaller company has the ability to be where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Don't be doing that. If you know for a fact that this like supplement company, like I got an offer from EHP Labs.
Yeah.
I spoke to them, had a whatever meeting with them. And I just realized that they don't offer me or my audience enough for me to go with.
Yeah.
What would I be selling to people? What, protein powder and OxyShred?
Yeah.
You know, they don't have enough for what we want to sell. I want people to be able to be on their health game, get their liver and their heart and their, you know, like if I was to go for a company, it'd be something like Supplement Needs or JP. Purely because it's like
you've got real belief in. It's like me with Insight. I've got belief in the guys.
With Insight, you can at least, you know, you have the ability to sell the health supplements and you have the proteins, and you don't even have to sit yourself within the box of like working for a company that like, or working for only, you know, Supplement Needs. Maybe you might not like their way, stuff like that. You know, you now can pick the way you like and still have all the health subs you need.
Yeah.
That's why. You know, right now I'm with like a gym, like a supplement shop with near my area and stuff. It's exactly the same. If I promote them, I can at least take what I need from it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's got to work both ways, and as long as you're kind of putting in all the work and showing them that you're worth it, then we're just going to keep growing. So we'll wrap it up there, man. There's still so much more to talk about. I want to know about your future. But I'm sure people watching I want to know about your future, but they've been watching this for so long now. And if they have locked in all the way till this point, yeah, they definitely are going to come back for number 2 and be like, yeah, we want to know. So if you want to know where Yemi is taking it next, then make sure you drop a comment. This has been a good, insightful chat. Found out a lot. Is there any words that you want to kind of say to round it off?
If anyone stayed to this long, you're a real one. And I know that for a fact you got a whole bunch of gems from this, because we have on both sides. I think we both gave very much good advice and good Like, this was actually a very good chat. So
yeah, it ain't even just bodybuilding. We're talking about business, marketing. What else have we talked about? Music. We've covered a lot of topics, mindset.
And showing how all these things link up to what you want in the future. You know, if you really want to make it in this game, you got to think about every single aspect and every single revenue and every single way that you can make it from out there. You know, you have, like, everyone here is going to be given, let's just say, like, an inch. You got to take that mile. You know, where do you want to end up, and how do you think you're going to get there? And then and on top of that, how much do you really want it? Because even I was saying this to people, like, bodybuilding ain't a sport of who's the best. It's a sport of who lasts the longest.
Yeah, longevity.
Longevity. I'm telling you from now, I can bet you any money, people like Chris Bumstead has seen guys with better genetics than him come and go. Guys that could beat him come and go. He just outlasted them.
You can do it every single day for the longest.
I know for a fact, if you ask any pro, even when I was like an amateur, there was guys that people were gassing up, and they're not around anymore.
Hack it. Got to be able to hack the lifestyle. Got to be able to do this, live it, love it, and that's bodybuilding.
You got to be able to take L's and learn from them.
Take L's and turn them into wins. We'll wrap it up there. Yeah, that's that. Big up, Yemi, and we'll see what has to come in the future, because you'll be excited for that.
Yes, sir. Peace.
What an insightful podcast that was. So many gems from Yemi. Remember, press the subscribe button if you enjoyed it and you want to see more like this. We're going to have so many more athletes coming on the Athlete Insight section. And also, if you haven't checked out Physique Talk with Samat Astil, make sure you go and watch that video. Now, this is going to be a weekly thing that we do. So, like I said, go and press that subscribe button and support the channel, because I really appreciate it. We want to take this to the next level, and we can only do that with your support and help. So go and watch the Physique Talk episode if you've not watched those yet, and keep these eyes open for more athlete insights. We've got some very exciting athletes coming on over the next few